As the latest console generation comes to a close, it's a good time to reflect on all the great experiences we had and perhaps reach back in the annals of the Wii, Xbox 360, and PS3 library to uncover some of the hidden gems the console had to offer. There were a lot of games this generation that were solid and fun experiences that simply didn't get their due. Games that for one reason or another flew under the radar of a lot of people and in many instances were a commercial flop. And in some of these cases, they were even critical flops due to many reviewers being a slave to the game industry hype machine, but that's a topic for another conversation. For this particular piece, I'll be delving into some of my personal favorites for the Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii generation. I'm not gonna lie, when I first purchased Toy Story 3, I didn't particularly expect to enjoy it in the least. In fact, the whole reason I got it was for my 3-year-old daughter. I knew that she wouldn't be able to fully grasp the gameplay, but I know she liked Toy Story and I wanted to get her started early on her video game career. After seeing her tool around with it for a little bit and helping her get through the more difficult parts of the game, I was very surprised to find that the game is actually very enjoyable. The art of crafting a well-designed action platformer game seems to have gone the way of the dodo, but Toy Story 3 manages to excel where many other entries into the genre seem to fail. This is another one of those instances where the developer could have just easily phoned in their performance and made lots of money, but the fine folks at Avalanche Software managed to impress with well-crafted platforming puzzles and interesting environments. The game boasts a story mode which allows you to go through the main story beats of Toy Story 3, as well as an impressively robust toy box mode that features a staggering amount of activities and diversions. The best way I have to describe the type of person that Toy Story 3 will appeal to is this. Are you the type of person who enjoys the LEGO brand of games? Do you enjoy running around environments with an impressive amount of charm and multitude of collectibles and hidden items? Then you're going to love Toy Story 3. Now, the low points of the game include stingy use of checkpoints, the occasional camera hiccup, and the voice acting being a fairly crude facsimile of the main cast of the feature films. That's not to say that voice acting is bad. In fact, the game's voice actors do an admirable job. But there's the occasional line where you can clearly tell it's not actually Tom Hanks' voice coming out of Woody, but his younger brother Jim's voice. Maybe the reason I enjoyed this game so much is because my expectations were so incredibly low going in. But after spending hours and hours playing Toy Story 3, I can safely say that it's actually a good game. A real shocker, I know. Let me preface this particular recommendation by saying that I've seen maybe 3 episodes of the Naruto TV show. I just didn't really like the pacing of how one fight could last for multiple episodes. And yes, before you asked, I dislike the same thing about Dragon Ball as well. Anywho, it's crazy that with how little love I have for the actual television show, I was surprisingly impressed with the Ubisoft-developed game Naruto Rise of a Ninja. I found the story and setting of the Naruto universe to be much more enjoyable whenever I was able to control the pace of the story and the combat. Never mind the fact that every time the main character opens his mouth, I want to punch him in the face. The game is still highly enjoyable as it offers a lot in a very crisp and clean presentation. First off, let me say that I'm mainly being a booster for the story mode of the game. While it does offer an online multiplayer mode, I'm not the best one to judge because every time I try to play it, I tend to get my shit pushed in. As Naruto, you'll spend your time not only accomplishing missions for your ninja superiors, you'll also be taking on side quests to make the citizens of the Leaf Village happy. You'll level up your stats, learn new skills, purchase equipment and items, walk on water, fly through the forest like a roided up monkey, and a plethora of other fun activities. The meat of the game, though, is in the one-on-one confrontations that play out like a one-on-one fighting game. While the developers could have easily phoned this in to make a quick buck on Naruto fans, the combat is actually very robust and a lot of fun. The combo system, special moves and blocking, moving, it all feels very responsive and fun. The story can be a little cheesy at times, but the game itself is so much fun that it's very easy to look past. As far as the bad stuff in the game, well, to be honest, there's really not much. While Naruto feels very responsive and snappy, that doesn't change the fact that the platforming sections of the game sometimes feel a little slapdash and neglected. Besides that, the difficulty may turn some people off of the game, as some of the later fights can be a real exercise in patience. But that's really it for my major complaints about the game. I know there are some people who are harp on the fact that the voice acting is in English, but to those people I say, get over it. It's a great game, just play it and enjoy it. To further illustrate the high quality of this game, the studio that made Naruto Rise of a Ninja is the same studio that developed the Assassin's Creed series, Far Cry 3, and the upcoming Watch Dogs. You really should check it out. And yes, I do realize there was a sequel to Rise of a Ninja, but Broken Bond lost some of that goofy innocence and charm that Rise of a Ninja had. Broken Bond just seemed to take itself a little too seriously. Alright, time to move on to something a little more mature. Now, with how little I've watched Naruto and still enjoyed that game, I've seen even less of Afro Samurai. You can count the number of minutes I've watched this show on your fingers. That certainly didn't stop me from enjoying the hell out of this game though. You follow the story of an aptly named Afro Samurai and his quest to avenge his father and claim a mystical headband that grants godlike powers. Okay, so you're not playing this game for the cliche story and writing. What you will be enamored with is the gorgeous cel-shaded art, well-acted voiceovers, and over-the-top violence. Afro Samurai is one of those games with such a highly stylized aesthetic that even 10 years from now it will still look pretty slick. Another huge draw of the game is the slice and dice gameplay. You know how Metal Gear Rising was lauding its tech to let you cut enemies into little bits? Well, Afro Samurai has been letting you do that since 2009. The game lets you have very minute control of where you slice at an enemy, allowing you to cut them into even the tiniest of pieces. Heck, there's even an achievement for cutting off an enemy's fingers and toes. Speaking of awesome achievements, there's one for spilling 2,000 gallons of blood. Come on, how many games have you played that actually track the metric of how many buckets of your enemy's blood you've spilled? Now, sadly, it's time to highlight some of the less fun aspects of the game. First off, it's very, very dark. That's not pertaining to the subject matter, but more the actual visuals. The worst part is that there isn't any option in the game to actually adjust the brightness. The game simply gives you a brightness bar graph in the options and makes you adjust your TV instead. Also, the options for the game are not available while you're actually in the game. If you want to adjust a setting like audio, then you'll have to back out to the main menu to do so. Some other negatives are that the camera system can sometimes be a real pain, and while the focus-based slicing is a blast, the regular combo-based combat lacks any real impact or punch when you hit an enemy. There's no satisfying thunk or feedback when you smack an enemy in the face with your katana. Another important thing to keep in mind is that the game was developed at the tail end of a very specific trend in the video game industry, the desire to have a super clean, or in this case, no heads-up display interface. This, of course, led to the obligatory exclusion of a health bar or focus meter. Afro and enemies alike will appear more and more bloody as their health decreases, and you'll need to keep your eye on Afro's pendant if you want to have an idea of how much focus you have left. Some people may like this, but I've honestly never seen the problem with health bars. Afro Samurai was a blast back in 2009 when it first came out, and it's still a lot of fun. It's not going to give you dozens of hours of enjoyment or anything, but it's an excellent weekend game. If nothing else, there's a free demo on Xbox Live and PSN, so there's no reason why you shouldn't at least check it out.